Let's examine the quadratic equation x squared plus 3x minus 10 equals 0. This is an equation we need to solve to find the values of x that make the equation true. Graphically, this equation represents a parabola. The solutions to our equation are the x values where this parabola crosses the x-axis, meaning where y equals 0. What makes this a quadratic equation is the presence of the x squared term. The highest power of x is 2, which is what defines a quadratic. When solving quadratics, we need special methods like factoring, completing the square, or the quadratic formula because the x squared term creates a nonlinear relationship. This is different from linear equations where we can simply isolate the variable. To prepare for solving this equation, let's first identify its standard form. This will help us recognize the key components we'll need. Our original equation is already in standard form, but let's compare it with the general form to identify our coefficients. The standard form of a quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, where a, b, and c are constants, and importantly, a cannot equal 0 since we need the x squared term to make it quadratic. Let's identify each coefficient in our equation by matching the terms with the standard form. These arrows show the direct correspondence between our specific equation and the general standard form. For every quadratic equation, we need to identify these coefficients to apply our solving methods. In our equation x squared plus 3x minus 10 equals 0, we can see that a equals 1 since the coefficient of x squared is 1, b equals 3 as it's the coefficient of x, and c equals negative 10, our constant term. These values will be essential when we apply the quadratic formula to find the solutions. Now that we've identified our equation as a quadratic and determined its coefficients, we're ready to apply solving methods. These coefficients, a equals 1, b equals 3, and c equals negative 10, will help us find the x values that satisfy our original equation. The quadratic formula is our go-to method for solving any quadratic equation in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. This formula gives us the exact values of x that make the equation true. Let's apply this formula to solve the equation x squared plus 3x minus 10 equals 0. Looking at our equation, we can identify that a equals 1, b equals 3, and c equals negative 10. We'll solve this step by step. First, let's calculate b squared. Since b is 3, b squared equals 3 squared, which is 9. Notice that this first part of our discriminant calculation is complete.